So good day, this is Jessica Castile, this IT3A. Today's video, I'm going to do the activity 10.7.1, Skills Integration Challenge, Network Planning and Interface Configuration. Task 1, build the network topology. Use the following chart and the devices in the device pool to create the topology. So the first thing I need to do is to arrange this first. The switch should be here. Switch. Next is the R1. R3. And the switch 2. The PC1E and the PC1C. Switch to E. And the R2. Next is switch to next is R2. And the system is ready. So next is to connect. First is the R1 plus Ethernet 00 connects to switch 1 plus Ethernet 01. I'm going to use the copper. R1 plus Ethernet 0 connect to switch 1 plus Ethernet 01. Next is the R1 by using serial DCE. So click the R1 serial 00 connect to R2 central serial 00. Next is the R1 by using serial DCE. Click the R1 serial 01 and connect to R3 central serial 01. Next is the R2. I'm going to use the copper straight. Connect the R2. Connect the switch to E. Pass Ethernet 01. Next is the R2 by using the serial. The R2 serial 01 and connect to R3. Serial 00. Next is the R2 Ethernet 01 by using copper. Connect the R2 and connect to switch to the pass Ethernet 01. Next is click the switch pass Ethernet 02 and connect to PC1 here. Pass Ethernet. Next, by using copper, the switch to E, pass Ethernet 02 and connect to PC1B, pass Ethernet. Next is by using copper, click the switch, pass Ethernet 02 and connect to pass. Connect to Eagle server, pass Ethernet. Next is connect the R3 to switch. Next is pass Ethernet 02 and connect to pass Ethernet. So next is task to create and assign an addressing chain. You are asked to use the 192.168.1.0/24 address space. 7 total networks are required. Assign the networks in decreasing order of number of hosts required for efficient use of address space. Use the following charts to create an effective addressing chain. Use the following rules to assign the IP address. PCs will use the first host address in the subnet. The server will use the second to last host address in its subnet. All pass Ethernet ports on a router will use the last host address of the assigned subnet. The R1 R2 link will use the first one subnet, with R1 using the first usable address and R2 using the R1 R3 link will use the second one subnet, with R1 using the first usable address and R3 using the last usable address. The interface should have clock rates of 56,000. So first is I'm gonna click the R1, then config Ethernet 00 and type the the IP address is 192.168.1.62, and the subnet, it should be 192. Then turn on. Next is the serial 00. In serial 00, the IP is 168.1.109. Next is, it should be 252. Then turn on and set the clock rate to 56,000. Then next is the serial 01. 192.168. Went 1.133. It should be 252. Then turn on and set to 56,000. So next is to create the next is the R2. Config as Ethernet 00.192.168.1.0. It should be 240. Then turn on. Next is the pass Ethernet 01. And the IP address is 168. And the subnet, it should be 224. Then turn on. Next is the serial 00. Then turn on. Next is the serial 01. Turn on, set to 56,000. Next is the R3. Type subnet mask, it should be 240. Then turn on. Next is the serial 00. Next is the serial 01. Then next is I'm going to click the PC1E desktop, then after configuration. So the IP address 192.168.1.1 should be 192.1.1, and the default wiki is 8A. Next is to click the PC1C desktop. And the default is 168.1.6. So next is the Eagle server. correct. So I will check this. Ito. Pas Ethernet join. It says the IP ad is incorrect. It should be 94. Now it's 100%. So that's all. The activity is completed.